When it comes to naming your characters, it's important to know that they're also human and they have personality. So don't overlook the naming process as a thing just to get something over with. Please subscribe to the channel for more writing content. Names have meaning. So much more than just, oh, that's who you are, so I'm going to call you that. There's a reason why that person's name is that name. And for your characters, you want to come up with a name that resembles who they are. It's very important to think about it, because you can just pick a name for a character and it's just there to just be there. Have you ever wondered what their name really means? Good writers look deeper into the origins of the name, what the name represents, and overall why they're going to name their character with that name. And names can do so many things in your story. It can either foreshadow something that could happen, or maybe this name has meaning in the time period that you are telling the story. Or maybe the name comes from a loved one that you care about, or someone you know and respect. Names can come from a variety different places. Whenever I think of my character names, a lot of times it comes from my head and I'm like, okay, that's what I'm going to name them. And what's so funny is that whenever the story plays in my head, it just flows. It really flows. And I get used to that name. And it's like, yeah, that's your name. And whenever I do deeper research about the name later on, like way after I finish a good portion of the book, I'm like, wow, this person's name matches up with what I've been writing about. And that's pretty good. Everyone has different ways of how they get names for their characters. Writers might look up names to figure out like what to name their characters in the beginning stages before even starting their story. And that's a good way of getting started to get to know your characters, like actually trying to discover who they are, what to name them. It's like they're kind of like your darlings putting out there, and they're like, your name is this, your name is that. Some people who write stories, maybe they're like kind of unsure like what to name someone, and maybe they don't want to just use a common name that like a lot of people have. A good way to find character names is to actually look it up and research it. And going on baby name websites is a good way of figuring out what you want to name your characters, because it not only gives you the name, but it also gives you the origins, meaning, and so much more. It can even give you personality as well. Where I go on babyknowledge.com, and I usually use that just like way after I actually come up with the names. What I like about using baby name websites is that it really breaks it down, and it can also have an extra something that gives an extra touch of what that name you're looking for is all about. But what if you're writing a story that takes place in a different time period? Let's just say of the past in Europe, maybe like the 1400s to 1600s. And that's where you need to take in consideration of what names are appropriate for that time period and what names were commonly used in that region and time period. And that's when you really need to do your research, kind of for accuracy reasons, because you don't want to be like, Sally rode on a black horse into the dark castle. Sally's not really a name that would belong in like a 14 to 1600 time period. It's very important to be mindful about that. If it's in a certain area in the world, please do your research about the names that you call someone, because you don't only want to be accurate, but you want it also be appropriate for where that type of setting is at. But also, whenever you're writing character names, you don't want to make them confusing, because if you have this name that's like so long or very hard to pronounce, readers are not going to like that, and they're less likely going to root for your character. So, writing character names, just make sure they're understandable, appropriate for the time period or setting that it takes place. Have fun with it. Don't feel like that you're forced to, okay, I have to like follow these guidelines. Because overall, it is your story. No one's going to tell you, like, hey, really need to change his name and all that stuff. When is it okay to change a character's name? So, from experience, as I did change a character's name before, like, if it just doesn't make sense, it would be nice to change it. Because you want the names to flow. And you don't want to be like hitting a roadblock and like, gosh, their name really throws off the story, and like, like, it just frustrates you while you're reading it. Or maybe when you're writing it and it's like, this name might not be the right name for that character. You want that character name to stand out for that character and have them appreciate it. Or if they don't appreciate it, like, give good reasons in your story why their name is not as great, or give a little background about it without info dumping, or give background knowledge of where their name came from and why the writer decided to name them that. An author that does a really great job into naming their characters is Suzanne Collins, because she does intense research about the names of her characters and the meaning of it, and it really parallels their personality and who they are and what makes them stand out from everyone else. So whenever you're naming characters, you can either do your research on your characters to get a good idea of what you're naming them before you actually give them that name. You can also be creative and be like, make some unique names, but make sure to make it clear to the reader and not confusing. And really have fun with the names. And if the names come to you, don't take that for granted, because maybe that can be your character's name. And remember, this is in the beginning process of your writing. Don't be hard on yourself, but like, this has to be the name, because names can change. And enjoy the process. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.